Today, we're going to talk about the novel Ministry of Troubled Scholars. But we're not just looking at it as a story. We're going to dive into how real-world pain gets transformed, almost magically, onto the written page. Okay, let's just start with the author's own words because, wow, this quote from the author's note, it isn't just a simple dedication. It's really the thesis statement for this entire project. It's the key to understanding how a really deep personal trauma became art. So where does a story like this even begin? Well, it doesn't start with a fictional idea. It starts with something incredibly real and painful from the author's own life, being viciously bullied and totally cast out by people they thought were their best friends. I mean, can you imagine having the things you love, your passions, used as a weapon against you? The author carried that weight around for years, and that pain was suddenly reignited by something that happened at the Oxford Union. But instead of letting it consume them, they turned to writing. They channeled all of it into this incredible creative work. And what you see here, this is the roadmap. It perfectly lays out the author's real-life journey to healing. You can see this direct line from suffering and isolation through that moment of being re-traumatized, all the way to finding a voice and healing by creating this story. And this is where it gets really interesting, because this is where art starts to imitate life. The author pours all of these complicated emotions, the betrayal, the loneliness, that search for validation, right into the main character, Preston Green. He becomes the vessel for this entire exploration. All right, so let's step inside the world that this pain actually built. Marleston. It's this elite, centuries-old boarding school, and it basically becomes a pressure cooker for our protagonist, Preston. It's a place filled with tradition and brilliance and a ton of hidden dangers. At the heart of this school, you've got this wild, fictional academic field called Metachronomics. It's based on this really cool idea that the more emotion a memory has, the more fervor, the deeper it gets burned into time itself. It almost becomes this physical, tangible thing. And then there's this, the thing that drives the whole plot, the Auricon. It's this book-like artifact, but it doesn't just record history, it can make it real. It taps into memories, dreams, and even imagination, what the book calls the three histories, and projects them out into the world, making the past dangerously real. So, into this mix steps Dr. Caius Walters. He's this incredibly charismatic professor who seems like the perfect mentor, but he's got this dangerous duality going on. On one hand, he's a brilliant guide, but on the other, he's a total manipulator. He just blurs that line between supporting someone and just using them. And this is his playbook, right here. Walters sees Preston's raw artistic talent, and he validates him in a way nobody else has. He grooms him with this kind of praise, making Preston feel special, feel seen, all while pulling him deeper and deeper into his web. But you guessed it, this whole mentorship thing, it's a complete trap. It's all designed to serve Walter's own ambitions, and it ends up putting Preston on a collision course with his own past trauma, leading to this absolutely devastating breakdown. This is when things start to totally unravel for Preston. His psychological decline kicks off when he starts hearing the voices of his old bullies. He's just standing in a chimp shop and suddenly he's bombarded by their insults, and he thinks they've somehow followed him to Marleston. His past is quite literally haunting him. And from there, his whole internal world just collapses. The trauma that he never processed starts bleeding into his reality. He just retreats into this spiral of self-blame, becoming convinced that he is the cause of all his own suffering. And this timeline, wow, it just lays out how fast and how brutal this whole descent is. It starts with hearing voices, then it escalates to a full-blown psychotic break in art class, and then he hits rock bottom when Dr. Walters, the one person he trusted, just viciously throws him away. The final stop is Blackthorn Mental Hospital. And here's the kicker. As Preston is breaking down personally, the entire institution starts to crumble around him. In a single day, just one day, the St. Justin's Day riot completely tears the school and the village apart. It's proof that Preston's trauma wasn't just some isolated incident. It was a symptom of a much deeper rot inside Marleston itself. But, and this is so important, out of all that chaos, all of that ruin, we get the story's most powerful message, redemption through art. And this is where it all comes full circle, right back to where we started. By writing this story, by giving Preston a narrative, a fight, and an ending, the author finds a way to work through their own trauma and, finally, close a really painful chapter of their life. I mean, just listen to this sign-off from the author's note. It's the final step in healing. The catharsis is done. By publishing the book, they're letting go of the pain, turning it from a personal burden into a story for everyone else. It's not theirs anymore. And that's really the big idea the novel leaves you with, isn't it? It suggests that storytelling isn't just about entertainment. It's a kind of alchemy. It's a way to take the heaviest parts of our lives, our deepest wounds, and spin it into the gold of our most powerful, most meaningful, and most redemptive creations.